Heyo everybody, Haku here with this week's read-through for Magical Girl Raising Project, or Mahou Shoujo Ikusei Keikaku. We're on ACES, and we are on Chapter 5, the final chapter that's like book-length, super long. We made it to Part 6. So from here I'm going to read page 74, Bluebell Candy, onward. Now this video might be a little bit longer, next video might be a little bit shorter. I don't know. I'm just gonna finish this off in 2 more videos, just this video and 1 more. This one, I know that there's an interlude and an epilogue for this chapter at the end of ACES, so I'm either going to read to the end of the chapter and do the interlude this video, and the next video will be just the epilogue. Or if this video isn't super long by the time we get to that, I'll read to the end of this and I'll do the interlude in this video, and then, wait, I just said that. Or if it's super long by the time I make it to the end of this video, I'll just cut it off at the end of the chapter, and then next video I'll be doing the interlude and the epilogue. So yeah, that's how I plan to do it, so just 2 more videos, but I'm excited. I feel like ACES has been very, very good. There are things I love about it. I wouldn't say there's anything I necessarily dislike about it. There's some parts where if you told me to compare it to like previous, if you were to tell me to compare it to previous arcs, I'd be like, well, maybe like each individual specific character isn't necessarily as developed. And again, that's not something I would complain about, not something I would count as a negative against this. It's just that other arcs have more of that one specific positive. Now this has had really, really great fights, and also I think this last chapter has been amazing, and every single time I do the read-through there's something different going on, whether it's the really good Ripple and Michan fight, the really good character stuff at the very beginning with Bluebell Candy and with Bluebell Candy and with Deluge. Then there was the start of the fight with Snow White and with Dark Cutie, and then later on we got the actual fight with Snow White and Dark Cutie, which was very good too, even though I personally prefer the Ripple and Michan one. We got to see from Glassy Ann's perspective, which was nice, and just last read through I thought it was really, really good. Not only getting to see from CQ Angel Hamuel's point of view and to give Snow White a bit more development, but to introduce all these concepts for the future of, can Snow White trust the Puck faction? Can Snow White trust the Osk faction? Because they seemed evil at first, but maybe they aren't as evil as they seemed. Or maybe the Puck faction aren't as good as they seemed. Throwing all these questions at us. And even if the Osk faction is bad, is Hamuel really that bad? So again, I think it's really, really, really cool. Also, as far as the translation of Hamuel's name goes, it was Hammer this chapter, but Hamuel previously in the arc for whatever reason, and I think Hamuel is a much, because it's CQ Tenshi Hamueru, so it's Hamuel, it's not Hammer. So yeah, I'm going with Hamuel then. But yeah, either way, let's start here with Bluebell Candy. Also, there was something 2 videos ago that I forgot to bring up, where I was like, I may have been spoiled on a death, but I'll say it at the end of the video, and I forgot to say it at the end of the video. So to have full disclosure, way, way back, when I made one of my favorite character videos, I think that I might have been spoiled on a death for a future character that obviously I shouldn't have been spoiled on, because they weren't even in the list, where I hadn't got to that point in the story yet. So I'm not sure if I was spoiled for their death or not, but I probably was, I'm thinking. For those of you that read along with me, I'm not going to say it yet, in case A, it doesn't happen, or B, you haven't read it yet because you read along with me. So I'm not going to mention it yet, but I may or may not have been spoiled on a death. So yeah, I'll explain that if we ever get to it, if I was spoiled, if it does actually happen. But I've been thinking the chapter title, Farewell My Friend, either I don't expect Ripple or Snow White to die. I don't think they've had enough focus on Ripple in this arc for one of those 2 to die, but I do think that at least Snow White could meet Ripple, and realize that Ripple isn't the same person that she was before, and that could be why it's farewell, my friend. Either that, or somebody like Deluge or Bluebell dies, or yeah, something like that, where somebody loses a close friend, maybe not through a literal death, but through them changing as a person. That would be my best guess. But either way, yeah, let's start off page 74, or 75 actually. Yeah, page 75 with Bluebell Candy. Flea, the magical girl in the wheelchair, was supposedly the head of human resources. She fulfilled success using her own connections and resources in the span of a few years, and she climbed the ranks fast as well. Bluebell was a little bit jealous of that. Still, it's best not to put feelings before the person itself. There's plenty of things to talk about after all. Talking would actually be nice. Bluebell didn't really have any gossiping friends, so it would be a nice change of pace to get to talk to someone. And of all people, it's a pretty famous person at that, Flea of Human Resources. Flea was looking into Bluebell's face. In response, Bluebell shifted uncomfortably and looked away for a bit. Could be a little rude, but Bluebell was honestly nervous. Is something wrong? Asked Bluebell. You're not a good liar, stated Flea. Huh? Oh yeah, of course not. I don't think lying's a good thing, so I doubt I'd be a good liar at all, said Bluebell. That's good. Lying isn't the only answer. The Research and Development Division The Research and Development Division really did find a good magical girl, said Flea, smiling. You know about me. Of course, I work in human resources after all. I have a database, said Flea. Right, of course. Flea rotated her chair, and she leaned back on it. She looked up at the night sky, the stars brightly shining everywhere. Isn't it beautiful, the contrast between the city and the countryside? Modern lights mixed with natural lights. It's a nice view living here, said Flea, leaning back and relaxing. Even just talking with Flea felt a bit mentally tiring to Bluebell. The truth is, she can't handle talking with higher-ups, or people that she looked up to, or people that were famous, or people in high position of authority. Whenever she does, she gets extremely nervous, so extremely nervous that she becomes mentally tired. When she was in elementary school, cleaning the office of the principal's room, she didn't want to actually talk to the principal. When the principal congratulated her for her efforts, Bluebell just smiled and nodded. Her body felt as tired then as it did now. She might be less tired if Deluge was with her now. Unfortunately, Deluge isn't here right now. She also had a conversation with Flea about something. What was it? She didn't exactly know it all, but for some reason Deluge then left on her demon wings and flew away, leaving Bluebell here. Stay here, watch over, don't listen to anything. And so Bluebell waited with Flea. Truthfully, Bluebell wanted to follow Deluge to wherever it is she'll go. Bluebell made that promise to herself, and she was a bit sad when she couldn't keep it. Okay. Maybe Deluge needed Bluebell. Maybe Deluge was in trouble. Bluebell didn't want to think about things like that. Maybe she really should, converse with Flea. It really is a beautiful night sky. The mountains were quiet, and there were no cars streaming by. It was only those two magical girls. Did you and Deluge meet at the Research and Development Division? Asked Flea. The sudden question hit Bluebell a little close to home. Her heart shivered. She was afraid of what she had to say. Bluebell calmed down. Yeah, we did. Is that why you're working together? Asked Flea. Because I don't want to leave her alone. I see. But then, it's an interesting team you've got there. An outsider and a Land of Magic official, isn't it? Asked Flea again. Should Bluebell not have said anything? She trembled. She didn't know what to say. She was at a loss for words. Maybe she can take that back. Wait, I never told anyone else about me and Deluge, said Bluebell. Of course, because you're not a liar. Bluebell felt relieved. Flea was the head of human resources. With only a few words, she could end her career if she wanted to. Bluebell wanted to stay so she could help Deluge. I wanted to ask you something, actually, said Bluebell. Do you know where Deluge went? Do you know if she's coming back? Whether she likes it or not, she's going to come back. Currently, Deluge is sensitive to danger, and wherever she goes, she attracts it everywhere. Though she's going to come back. I believe that. You talked with her, right? Do you know exactly where she went? If I tell you, that damages the trust Deluge placed on me, said Flea. But she's going to danger. If she's going somewhere dangerous, I need to know, said Bluebell. Sadly, I don't know where it is myself. Deluge knew what to say, and she didn't tell me enough for me to find out. Ah, I see. Sorry for asking. Flynn nodded silently and looked up at the sky again. Yeah, that's true, because it's Deluge's hideout with Armor Arley that she would be going to, so Fleur would have a reason to be like, yeah, I don't know. In the moonlight, Flea's figure actually looked quite elegant, if it weren't for all this chaos going around right now. Ah, they're here, said Fleur, smiling. Who's here? Do you hear that? Asked Fleur with a glance. What Bluebell heard were bird noises. From the forest, various chirping sounds and squawking, birds fluttered about. Bluebell isn't a bird expert, so she couldn't distinguish between those noises. She heard cawing, though. Birds? No, not birds, said Fleur. From the sky, 2 magical girls dropped down to the ground below. The impact made Bluebell yelp out in fear. She jumped back and clung to Fleur. Then she recognized the magical girls. The dark-suited one, Dark Cutie, and the glasses one, Glassy Ann. But where's the scholar? Where's Michan? What happened to Michan was a shame, said Fleur. Dark Cutie nodded, closing her eyes. Glassy Ann looked down. You know, I really thought that Michan would be the one amongst us to live longer. She wasn't the weakest of the group like me. She wasn't the strongest like our leader, so I wasn't expecting her to go so soon, said Glassy Ann. Fleur nodded silently. Though Bluebell is the outsider, she felt like she was listening in to something she shouldn't be listening into. She let go of Fleur and began holding her own hands, slightly shivering. Where's Deluge? Asked Glassy Ann. She's checking in on someone important, answered Fleur. Someone important? Someone more important than our target? Asked Glassy Ann. Fleur smiled in response. For some reason, Bluebell saw a tinge of frustration and sadness in that smile, though Fleur kept smiling. Glassy Ann's face became serious. Dark Cutie's brows furrowed. We've been cornered and led on a wild goose chase with no hope of winning. If we want to turn this around, we're going to have to think of a new approach, said Fleur. Glassy Ann didn't seem to notice Fleur. Glassy Ann, I know you're trying to follow Deluge, but leave her be for now. We still need to trust each other for this to even be called a victory. So let's try to regroup and rethink our strategy, said Fleur. Alright, now we have Snow White again. When they left the warehouse, it was still quite dark outside. This was ideal. Dark Cutie would have trouble working in a place where she can't generate shadows. However, darkness meant that more magical girls could be hiding somewhere. Throughout the night, Snow White had been strategizing this whole time. The plan was simple. First, Snow White would trek back to Puck Manor by way of public transportation to hide her tracks. Meanwhile, Premium Sachiko and Uluru would be inside Snow White's bag. Snow White would then detransform and travel in human form. Normally, magical girls don't detransform in these kinds of situations, but due to the way the plan was structured, it was the best way to transport these two without being seen. Most magical girls would be killed instantly if an enemy magical girl found them in human form. Magical girls can move faster than you can react as a human. That was the main reason that magical girls don't actually transform back. However, in Snow White's case, she had Fall, a cyber fairy. She linked her transformation with Fall, and Fall can detect magical girls within range. Fall's reaction time is about as fast as a magical girl, so Snow White should be safe so long as Fall automates the process. If they get into a fight, Uluru would come out as backup. For now, however, Snow White, as Kuyuki Himekawa, will travel alone with a bag toward Puck Manor. The main issue is whether or not Dark Cutie's tailing them. The Shadow Hounds could be anywhere, which is why they had to leave at early dawn when it was still dark. There was no way for the Hound to operate in a place with no light for the shadows to exist. The danger lies in Snow White being unable to detect the shadows, especially not Kuyuki. Fall wouldn't be able to detect it either. So long as they travel under the cover of darkness, they should be fine. Trains, buses. In N City, there was plenty of busy transportation routes that Kuyuki used to take before she became a magical girl. The transportation in W City in comparison was light. Fall had experience in finding magical girls in a busy place like N City with all its different trains, buses, and traffic. In W City, it should be far easier for Fall to do that. Fall's radar was also pretty wide, ranging about 200 meters, so in theory, nothing should get past him in W City. Still, Snow White was cautious. Any sign of enemies? Asked Snow White. The only magical girls are you, Pon. You're sure? Now, why would I lie in a time like this, Pon? Card soldiers, black shadows, demons? Do you think the closer we get to Puck Manor, the more enemies we'll face, Pon? I'd say the opposite's true, since not many would survive in the enemy territory, pun. Perhaps. I just don't want to have to fight if I don't need to. Snow White, it's okay. I've got this, pun. That voice the other day did say that almost every side had withdrawn. Was she speaking the truth about that? Kyuki kept walking and walking. Eventually she closed in to Puck Manor. She encountered almost no enemies on her way here. She walked very naturally, like a person in a rush, but not too fast either. No reaction, Pon. Nothing? Barriers? What about barriers? Nope, there really is nothing, Pon. Your radar works, right? If any shufflins come, or any demons, or anything at all, I'll detect it, Pon. It's kind of strange. Kyuki expected to encounter resistance as she approached the manor, but having nobody ambush her was also a nice change of pace. Of course, the closer she got to Puck Manor, the faster she walked. Don't let your guard down, Snow. Keep walking at a steady pace, Pon. Understood. Sorry. Don't run. Walk. Her mind is in a rush, but her body needs to stay calm. Carefully, she continued walking. Earlier in the warehouse, she had asked Fall to send a message to Puck Puck should they approach the manor. I'm headed back. I have premium Sachiko. Okay. A short, simple message. Since reinforcements didn't arrive, Snow White had to do it the hard way. She'll drop off Sachiko at the manor and be off with it. Alright. No magical girl reactions. No magical girl reactions? Ah, a magical girl is running straight this way, Pon. Fall transformed Snow White. Uluru jumped out of her bag. Together, the two ran as fast as magical girls could run. The white walls of Puck Manor were just within sight. Premium Sachiko could finally be returned as well. But Snow White then noticed something. She slowed down from running to walking. What are you doing? Asked Uluru. Snow White's eyes widened. There was a magical girl behind her, about 10 meters away, wearing something very familiar. A magical girl Snow White knows very well. High wooden shoes, shuriken hair clip, a ninja costume. Oh, this is making me so nervous. Left arm cuff floating in the wind. You're supposed to be missing. Illuminated in the streetlights was a magical girl that Snow White had been looking for all this time. She was smiling. A nostalgic face. Nostalgic memories came back to Snow White. Snow White took a step forward to the girl. It's the one-armed ninja, Ripple. It's been a long time, Snow White, said Ripple, smiling. Fall appeared beside Snow White. Snow White, is that really Ripple, Pon? Snow White nodded. It's you, it's really you. It's Ripple, Fall. I heard her heart's voice, it's her. Snow White ran over to Ripple. When she got to her, she smiled and hugged her old friend. Ripple gently stroked Snow White's hair. Ripple, where have you been? All this time I've been looking for you. Where have you been? Asked Snow White. Sorry I've been away, Snow White. But now we're finally together again, said Ripple, and still stroking on Snow White's hair. Uluru ran in behind her. Fall, who is she? Asked Uluru. She's a close friend of Snow White, Pon. She's been missing for quite a while, Pon, said Fall. Uluru's eyes were that of confusion. Ripple looked at Uluru with a smile. She stopped stroking Snow White's hair. In a flash, her hand grabbed for her short sword, and she thrust it into Snow White's bag. Then she pulled out something from inside. Is that how that should work? Then she pulled out something from inside. Premium Sachiko was dragged out with one arm, blood leaking from her neck. Her face had the eyes of fear. Snow White was stunned. Uluru screamed. Ripple, but I heard your heart's voice. I heard it. Ripple, why? Ripple's face was that of a smile, but her actions were not that of the old Ripple. What happened to her? Does stabbing the bag really work like that? Then how didn't she stab either of the shufflin that Snow White had? It's very strange. Very strange times we live in. But her actions were not that of the old Ripple. What happened to her? Uluru rushed forward and tackled Ripple down. Ripple reacted by swinging her short sword at Uluru, but Uluru blocked it with her gun butt, disarming her. She then grasped Ripple's throat and began punching her on the ground. Her face was redder than it ever was, filled with tears of anger. Snow White came over and restrained Uluru, pulling her away. Uluru, Ripple, stop! Shouted Snow White. Get off me, shouted Uluru. Uluru slammed Snow White's face with the butt of her pop gun. Snow White was stunned and fell down backwards. Okay, and now we're seeing an illustration of what happened to Sachiko. Man. Uluru was then tackled by Ripple from behind, but Uluru managed to roll off into a crouch when she landed. Ripple ran straight for Uluru. Uluru cocked her pop gun. She aimed. Her eyes were full of hatred and anger. Blam! Ah, Ripple's leg was bleeding, shot by one actual bullet that caused her to crash and tumble forward. Snow White rushed to Uluru and held her down. Uluru, calm down. You don't get to say that. She killed my sister. Snow White looked at Ripple's expression. It went from anger to shock to realization. Ripple looked at the corpse of Sachiko lying in a pool of blood. Ripple looked back into Snow White's eyes. Ripple's eyes were that of fear now. She breathed rapidly. She got up and she began to hop away. Snow White heard Ripple's heart. I can't be with Snow White anymore. What's going on? What happened to Ripple? Why'd she do this? Uluru broke free of Snow White's grip and ran over to Sachiko. Premium Sachiko had already been detransformed back to human, lying in a pool of blood. Sachiko! Sachiko! Uluru kneeled down, crying on her as she hugged Sachiko's body. Snow White approached the body as well. Uluru, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Why did you stop? Why did you stop? Snow White couldn't answer. This was her fault. Someone died because of her carelessness. She let her guard down. Uluru cried and hugged Sachiko close to her. We need medical help. Fall, can you call someone, please? Asked Uluru. I can try, Pon. Uluru listened to Sachiko's heartbeat. It wasn't there anymore. It was gone. Her body was cold as well. No, 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 no. Not after I promised. No, Sachiko. Sachiko. Snow White's breathing became heavy. She felt tears streaming down her eyes as well. She failed, Uluru. She's failed. Oh, what an ending. God, that's emotional. And that is the one that I will say that I was spoiled on way back before I even got to ACES and knew who Sachiko or anybody like that was. I knew that Ripple killed somebody that was a good person. So that's the one that I was spoiled on ahead of time. Gosh, it's so sad though that Ripple just does it and runs away. So it seemed, I thought Ripple was going to be completely without memories and completely mind-controlled, but it looks like actually Ripple still knew Snow White, Ripple still had memories, and she looked surprised and like upset after killing Sachiko, so it might have been as simple as she's still Ripple with her memories and everything, but the mind control that Pukin's sword was used on her, like maybe the order she was given was just to kill Sachiko. So even though she's still Ripple, she's still the same Ripple. She was mind controlled into whenever she sees Sachiko or gets close enough to Sachiko, she's going to kill her. Still seems strange to me and odd that you can just stab into the bag and kill somebody in it, because the bag seems like it should be like, I don't know, fourth dimensional. You shouldn't just be able to stab into it and kill somebody, or to know who and how they're situated in there to kill them by stabbing into it, because like the other Shufflin were in there, or what if she had just, I don't know, hit Sachiko in the knee or something? That part seems really weird to me. So, yeah. Either way, though, this isn't very long, so I'm going to go ahead and read the interlude. Just grabbing a little bit of water first, though. So in the interlude, we have Shadowgale. Okay, exciting. We finally get to see Shadowgale again. Shadowgale and the Armor Magical Girl reach the bonus stage and use plenty of free warp points. These are things you don't usually get if you're a beginner of this game, which means that the Armor Magical Girl is very intelligent. She's just incapable of speech. Shadowgale pretended to be purely enjoying the game. Of course she really did get immersed in it sometimes, but she didn't forget her original goal of escaping. To do that, she needed something to remodel, and she can't remodel the TV if the Armor Girl is constantly on watch. Shadowgale can modify machines using her magic, but she needs to be touching it. And doing that with the Armor Girl is practically giving away her need to escape. As long as the Armor Girl stays, Shadowgale can't be free. Alright. Will Armor Girl ever leave? If not, how will she get her to leave? If the game ends, or if they die in the game, Armor Girl doesn't give up. She just keeps continuing after every game over, learning from her mistakes. She doesn't get frustrated easily, and her patience knows no bounds. On the screen, two characters were firing fireballs while swimming in an underwater stage. Shadowgale had a thought. She looked at the game console attached to the TV. It's an old game console, the kind that breaks easily. If Shadowgale broke it, she could make an excuse that she's trying to fix the console, then she can easily remodel it and the TV. How would Shadowgale break it? Shadow Gale noticed the controllers plugged into the console. If Shadow Gale pulls on it, the console gets pulled a bit too. Armor Girl was too focused on the game, so Shadow Gale can pretend to be really passionate about the game, and swing the controller wildly around. Shadow Gale's magic's to remodel machines. That means she can also fix them, so a broken console would be easily fixable and modifiable. Then Shadow Gale can be saved. She pretended to enjoy the game until they reached the final boss of the area. Shadow Gale's also gotten used to the game mechanics. She's playing it like a natural already, so it wasn't hard to actually play it. Magical Girl reflexes are suitable for action games like this. Oh yeah, it would be super easy to play a video game with Magical Girl abilities. Kill enemies, avoid traps, beat the final boss. Some awesome background music played when they reached the boss area. A huge boss dropped down with 3 times as much health than usual. Armor Girl dodged the boss's attack, stunned the boss, and threw a fireball at the boss's weak point. The color of the boss began to change and flutter. It signified that the HP was decreasing. Shadow Gale simply avoided its attacks. No reason to do a game over now. Armor Girl's got this. Shadow Gale avoided the attacks by jumping off of the platforms. Every time she did, she made an exaggerated gesture. Whoa, she said, pulling the controller far to the right. Whoops, she said again, pulling the controller to the left. Shadow Gale's body was also shaking left and right, trying her best to leverage her weight for the controller to be pulled. Armor Girl tapped on Shadow Gale's shoulder. Did she notice? Wait, no, she pointed to the screen, motioning Shadow Gale's character to follow her. She taught Shadow Gale the location of all the secret equipment. Throughout the game, the Armor Girl always gave points to Shadow Gale. She showed kindness and genuinely cared, and Shadow Gale was going to abuse that kindness to escape. The Armor Girl will be sad if that happens. Shadow Gale didn't feel confident about her plan anymore, but at the same time, her mother, her father, her friends, Konoe, all of them will be worried if Shadow Gale is gone. She had to tell them she's safe too. Shadow Gale took a deep breath, and she motioned forward with her hands, reaching the game console. Armor Girl grabbed Shadow Gale's hand. No, it's okay. The console almost fell, that's all, said Shadow Gale. She realigned the console back, putting it safely in position. Then she took the controller again and played the game with Armor Girl. They fought the boss together, and after a few minutes of trial, the game's ending fanfare played. They had won. Then the game was paused. Not by Shadow Gale. It was the Armor Girl. She looked around. She stood up. What's going on? Was something happening? Then Shadow Gale heard footsteps. Was someone coming? And judging from the Armor Girl's reaction, it might not be friendly. Who was coming here? The Ice Magical Girl that captured her? Someone else? Boom, boom. A knock on the large metal door. Without waiting, the door was opened immediately. Alright. Well, we only have 7 pages left. It's only at 27 minutes. So you know what? Let's just finish this. I like ending on the number 7 a lot more than on the number 6, but either way, superstition and luck aside, let's finish this off. Let's do the epilogue. We're seeing from Puck Puck's point of view. What the heck? Puck Puck. Has Premium Sachiko come home? Was she captured or was she killed? Puck Puck wanted Sachiko to come back safely. She wanted Uluru to come back safely as well. She wanted Snow White to be safe too. Okay. So she really did want them safe. She wished for it, and she sincerely hoped they'd make it out alive. This ritual was very important, and it's because of that importance that the Osk faction keeps trying to interfere with her. Premium Sachiko was also a big part of that ritual. She needed to raise the probability of success to 100%. Without Sachiko, the amount of lives that will be lost performing this will be great. With Sachiko, you only need her to succeed in the ritual. She doesn't know what happened to Sachiko, but if she was caught or killed, Puck Puck will find the perpetrator and punish them. Puck Puck wanted to assist Sachiko if she could. She loved Sachiko. She also knew that Sachiko would ensure the ritual success. She can't afford to lose her, otherwise the ritual will be terrible. If you think of the ritual as a machine, there are several parts you need to make it functional. Puck Puck is prepared and acquired most of those parts. Sachiko is only one of the parts required. However, Sachiko is a very important part indeed. Without her, there'd be no ritual. Wait, that's the wrong description. Sachiko isn't an important part, she's a required part. It might be hard to notice the difference, but an important part is something you can live with. If you find several replacements. Without a required part, the machine won't work. Necessity and importance are two different things. Right now, chaos has descended upon W City, and almost everyone involved, except for Snow White, were required parts. Puck had tried to find them, to find Sachiko, to follow their whereabouts. She poured all of her resources, her money, her people, to ensure that she could find them. She poured those resources to get Snow White in the first place as well. She even poured resources to find other parts necessary even after hiring Snow White. But sadly, Surami had died in the chaos. It was selfish to want both of them to survive. Greed is never good. The old man once said that too. It's better for everyone if they work together to accomplish a greater goal. Puck has always tried to live by what the old man has taught her. The individual is important, but a group effort leads to success. And of course the old man is probably referring to the one that Snow White met in Restart. This was Puck's philosophy. She had made everyone happy too. The ritual was about to begin. She was about to thank everyone for all their hard work before all this happened, but now everything seems to be missing, and everything was taken away from her. The land of magic isn't what it used to be. Chaos sparks everywhere, rebellion in small but powerful bursts. The ritual's the way to save it. Is Sachiko back yet? Puck's getting worried every second. She shouldn't think about it too hard, it'll stress her out. Uluru might get angry at Sachiko. Sachiko was cowardly, so she tends to run away, the poor girl. If Puck praised Uluru, she was sure that Uluru would be in a happy mood again, and the sisters would be back to being friends. Surami would agree, but Surami's gone now. The car stopped, and Puck arrived at her destination. She got out of the car and suppressed her sad thoughts. Instead, she put on a smile. It doesn't matter if she smiled, but this helps. It's been a while since she's used her powers at maximum potential. Puck always relied on her natural charisma and low-powered version of her magic. But at maximum strength, it doesn't matter if it was demons or man-made magical girls. She opened the door. A sword magical girl and a cannon magical girl saw her, and they went down to their knees, kneeling at her. The demons didn't attack her. She didn't let her powers get lower. There was someone she needed to befriend. She knocked on the door and smiled, and opened it. "Hi there. I came to pick you up, Shadowgale." Okay. So that is where Puck was going, and that's what happened. Why Deluge had to run off and figure out what was going. So Deluge is probably going to find the place empty. And Armor Arlie and Shadowgale are probably going to get taken by Puck. And this is interesting because now Puck, even though she does seem to have genuinely good reasons for doing what she's doing, she's probably going to manipulate and use people in order to try to get at Ripple. Because of Ripple killing Sachiko and how she said she was going to want revenge. That's really, really good. I like how, again, this has been an amazing arc, but so much of this arc has just been setting up for future arcs. But either way, now we're at Pithy Frederica. Snow White has grown so much, yet there was still a trace of kindness and softness in her that she only lets out once in a while. Of course, when your past was built on dreams, prayers, and hopes, you're bound to be a person made with kindness. Right. These are usually the feelings that were fostered to other magical girls. However, with all of those magical girls, they didn't have the strength to improve themselves, but Snow White still proved herself ideal. She's still worried about the lives of other people, whether they're on her side or not, trying her best to save everyone while knowing that the world isn't all that pure. She knows that if she kills, she crosses a line that won't justify her actions any longer. The perfect balance for Pithy, the ideal magical girl. Pithy wondered if Snow White would ever cross the line if she were tested. Would her future lie in her finally becoming what she hated, or will she persevere against all odds? Pithy would often have to do the dirty work to test it herself. She took a cup of coffee in her right hand, offered by another magical girl. "Enjoy. I thought you might have prepared a special blend for me." "The Frederica special? Knowing you'd probably want me to add some hair in that coffee, won't you?" "No, that'd be a waste of hair." "I see. So you value hair more than your food. Makes sense." Pithy finished sipping the cup, placing it down. The magical girl reached for Pithy's coffee cup, wanting to refill it, and with a loud ring, she accidentally broke the handle of the cup. "How rude of me. I'll replace it." No, it's fine. I just stopped because of the heat. I can handle it." Magical girls don't mind heat or cold. Pithy didn't like her coffee super hot, but you won't get a burn from it. "You're very humble to your hosts, Frederica. I try to be. Then let's get started. The environment they're in isn't something you'd call elegant. It was concrete and smelly, and there was a leaking in the ceiling. But it was still a place to talk, somewhere they can plan. The mystical blue magical girl took a seat and drank her own coffee. Blue wasn't really good for Pithy's eyes. She preferred clothes that were elegant and dazzling. Pithy's outfit wasn't really that elegant, so she liked it when another magical girl had an elegant outfit. But beggars can't be choosers. Even though our goal was to prevent the Puck faction from retrieving Premium Sachiko, we can't exactly say this was a successful mission. Elimination of Sachiko should have been our last resort. I can't tell if you're agreeing with me, or if you're being sarcastic. The former, of course. Well, anyway, Shadowgale has been taken by Puck. The feint worked. It helps that she found Shadowgale to be important, too. Feint. Was it not a feint, then? Oh no, I believe you. I'm just making sure. After all, you're not the lying sort, Lazaline. Your praise fills me with joy. Now who's the sarcastic one? So now we see Lazaline's playing Fleur, then. Lapis Lazaline, the original Lapis Lazaline, her plans were to stop the ritual being held by Puck. In order to do that, they needed to get rid of Premium Sachiko. If possible, they wanted to capture her alive. If not, then killing her was the next best thing, because if she dies, the purpose will be achieved, though the loss of Sachiko would be great for everyone. For that reason, Lazaline needed two forces: an army, which was supplied in the form of Princess Deluge and the demons, an assassin, which was supplied in the form of Ripple. There also exists a weakness in Fleur. She had recently lost her memory and was easily exploitable after acquiring a certain someone. She was vulnerable, and thus easy to control. She's easy to control. Although they had achieved their goals, given what happened, they failed in executing their strategy. Pithy took a sip from her coffee. The magical girl in front of her, Lapis Lazaline, wasn't to be trusted. Pithy wasn't in the habit of trusting others. However, their goals happened to be mutual for now, so they became partners. Pithy enjoyed Lazaline's company, but she'd hardly trust her with her own life. Pithy was also not too clear on the full picture of the struggle that's happening. The main goal has always been to stop the ritual. The success rate of the ritual would plummet heavily with the disappearance of Premium Sachiko, that ritual being the activation of a device left by the first mage. Using Premium Sachiko's extreme luck, they'd be able to activate it without even trying, a once-in-a-lifetime achievement. With Sachiko missing, Puck had to find someone else to potentially help with the ritual. That's when Shadowgale came in. Shadowgale could modify the equipment to be usable. It wouldn't be as good as Sachiko's magic, but it's worth a shot. I suppose you could say that the decoy worked, and Shadowgale was indeed taken. Enough for her to not be able to allocate resources to help. Okay. Did you not believe in Snow White? Did you not think she could find Sachiko? You should have more faith. She's proven herself capable and resourceful, someone I'd like to recruit. It's too bad the three sages have the same idea. The two magical girls drank their coffee. And what of Ripple? Asked Lazaline. She's a good girl. I've been able to share and teach her so many things. Unfortunately, there's just no more room for growth if she's under me. I'm afraid I'll have to let her go, said Pithy. She took out an orange rapier. It had a pumpkin-shaped handle, and it shined brightly in the light. If I scratch someone with this, Ripple's control will be lifted. Oh yeah, it only works on a person at a time. I do have to say, your timing's impeccable. Timing? You chose to remove control of her at the worst possible moment, didn't you? I don't know what you're talking about. I chose the best possible moment. A character-building moment for both Snow White and Ripple. Okay, so that's when Ripple noticed. The moment after she committed a massive crime. The two can only grow from that experience. It was the best time to remove control, Pithy said with a smile. Okay. So again, this is the Magical Girl Raising Project. She did all of this to force Ripple and Snow White to grow. It's a bad habit, but Pithy was a magical girl built on bad habits, of course. She wondered what Snow White felt about Ripple's true feelings. If only Pithy could know what she was thinking. Pithy sheathed the rapier. Now there's no more Ripple by her side. The last time they met, Pithy was stroking Ripple's hair, with Ripple smiling happily. So I wonder who she took over, releasing the control on Ripple then. Alright. Pithy sees the rapier. Now there's no more time for Ripple to be by her side. Last time they met, Pithy was stroking Ripple's hair, with Ripple smiling happily. She's going to miss that hair, but it was worth the sacrifice. Snow White right now was like a blade, unpolished but deadly. Pithy will be her grindstone and ensure she grows from this experience. Both will gain something. Snow White and Pithy's relationship still hasn't changed, so Pithy had to do it from a distance. And yet there are those who wish to take Snow White for themselves, like that magical girl Dark Cutie. Pithy will not let Dark Cutie's selfishness steal Snow White from her. Pithy took a sip from her coffee cup. The future of Snow White is on the line. For now, perhaps Dark Cutie could be useful as a tool of growth for Snow White. Until then, Pithy will always be watching over Snow White, nurturing her growth, whether she knows it or not. Okay, we have now finished ACES. I loved it. I loved ACES. I don't know if I love it more than Joker's or not. Both are so good, and I've said this before in previous arcs, it's hard to necessarily compare them side by side, because there are, like, so many differences in the way the arcs tell stories. Like, the story that Restart tells is totally different from the story that Unmarked tells, for example. Restart is much more about mystery and this video game aspect, and the dynamic of teams, accomplishing certain set goals, where Unmarked is more like your typical survival game type of story. Of course, it's more than that because it's the prequel to everything else that's going on in the long term. But as far as just a single arc story, it's more along the lines of your usual survival game. So again, different arcs are very different. Joker's, for example, was much more about this gradual fight, this battle of attrition against waves and waves of a seemingly unstoppable enemy. So that's more of what that was about, where this was, I know it was like a mad rush for Premium Sachiko, but it was a lot more about developing characters and relationships and lore for the future. Just think of how Uluru after this arc is, she's lost both her sisters. We don't know how much she will stay with her full devotion to Puck Puck or how much she'll change. We have Snow White and everything she learned from Hamuel. We have Hamuel and her willingness to work with Snow White even though she's part of the Osk faction. We've got Deluge and everything she's gone through. Puck Puck now has Shadowgale and probably Armor Arlie too. We have the extra development for Dark Cutie and Glacian, who are now basically henchmen of Flea, and how Flea is different now because she doesn't have her memories, and she's basically being played behind the scenes by Lazaline and Pithy. And seemingly everyone is. And of course not only is Snow White grown in a lot of ways, but Ripple we saw as basically the mindless, mind-controlled assassin, then being released from that, getting her mind back right after having killed somebody good. So again, all of this incredibly good. I loved the arc. I'm not sure, since I finished this arc, I don't want to take a week off next week. I was going to say maybe since I finished this arc I'll take a week off just to recharge and get a break from the read-throughs and then come back with episodes the week after that. But I kind of don't want to take a break, so I might just do next Tuesday. You might just be seeing the first part of episodes Delta, as I think the next one. Or is it? No, I think it's episode Sigma. Episode Delta is the new one that just came out, I think. Either way, though, you will be seeing the next set of episodes next, and then I think I'm going to do Peaceful Days real quick before I do Queens. But I might do Queens before Peaceful Days. I'm not sure exactly which of those two I'll do first. I'm going to do it by release order, though. So I'm going to look at it, and if Peaceful Days was released... Sorry, trying to hold off a hiccup. If Peaceful Days was released before Queens, then I'm going to be doing Peaceful Days first. Either way, though, I don't think that episodes in Peaceful Days are really going to take all that long, personally. So yeah, then once we're done with Queens, we'll be nearly caught up to the story. So we're getting closer and closer to catching up, even though like all of this that I'm talking about could take like another year or so for all we know. But yeah, I'm getting closer and closer to catching up, and once we get caught up, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna miss doing these every single week. So I'll figure out something to do, of course. But either way, thank you so much for sticking through my read through of ACES. I hope you enjoyed all of it. I loved it so much. I think toward the start, I was going to say toward the start was less exciting than this really amazing last chapter, but even the first 4 chapters were great. There was like nothing that I didn't love in all of them. See, it was just overall a very, very good arc once again. I think I can say that about every single arc. Like, reading Unmarked, oh my gosh, that was so good. Reading Restart, best thing I've ever read. Reading Limited is the only one where I was like, that's whatever. Like, that's the only one. And even then, I'm like, oh, it's not like terrible, the worst thing ever. It's just, whatever. It was pretty good up until the ending. The ending just wasn't good. And then getting back into Jokers. Jokers was amazing. ACES is amazing. But before I end this one, just want to say thank you to people already supporting on Patreon, and if you want to support the channel and keep it going so I can afford to make these videos every week, then supporting on Patreon would help, but don't worry even if you don't. But either way, it is patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description to be sure. And yeah, it would help me to keep going, to keep making these videos, to be able to afford to do that. So if you want to help out there, it'd be amazing. If you don't, that's fine too, though. Or if you can't, it's fine too, though. Big thank you for watching the video, period, and being along on this journey with me. The Magical Girl Raising Project community, I've said before, has been probably the best fandom, the best community that I've been a part of with the channel. So yeah, all of that, like if you did like the video, and comment down there too. Tell me what you thought of this chapter, what you thought of this arc, what you thought of my thoughts and all that, my reaction and all that. Subscribe for more Magical Girl Raising Project, much more on the channel. Follow on Twitter if you want. I can try to keep you updated there and stuff for the channel, or talk to you there. And if you'd like a link to our Discord server, just ask and I can give you a link, and we can all talk there. It's free and open for anyone. And yep, like I said real quick before we go again, if you want to help support on Patreon, it's patreon.com/Haku of the Tubes, or a link will be in the description. So yeah, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.